الرحيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين محمد رسول الله صلى الله عليه وآله وصحبه وسلم تسليما كثيرا كثيرا فما بعد. My dear brothers and sisters, we are looking at the life of Ibrahim alayhi salam, and we are looking at the way of what Ibrahim alayhi salam did and what he tried to teach the people, and that was to worship none other than Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala jalla jalaluhu. And this was the reason why he came into conflict first with his father Azar, and then with all the people of his town, who were all polytheists, and they used to worship idols. Now, we know the whole story, so I won't mention the story here. The Quran is quite explicit about what happened and what Ibrahim alayhi salam did and so on and so forth. The long and short of it was that the message that Ibrahim alayhi salam was trying to convey to the people, and he conveyed it in a very powerful and rather graphic manner, which was that these things, these asnam, these idols that you worship, cannot do anything for you. They are powerless. They can't hear, they can't see, they can't move, they can't do anything. They are actually your creation. You are not their creation. And Islam says, worship the one who created you. Don't worship what you create yourself. And obviously it makes sense to anyone who has sense. Why would you want to worship something that you yourself created? And that's what Islam says. Don't do that. Worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is your creator, is your sustainer. He made you, He feeds you, He clothes you, He gives you the air to breathe, He gives you health. When you are sick, He cures your sickness, and He gives you knowledge, He gives you the ability to make your own life easy. He does so many things. Now, why would you want to give that up? Why would you want to leave that and leave the one who does all this for you and go and worship some concept that you have created in your mind, or a piece of stone, or a piece of wood, or whatever which you have carved? Many people sometimes, today, when you talk to so-called educated people who are not Muslim but who still worship idols, and you ask them, you say, what is the use of all this education if you are still going to worship idols? And they tell you, no, see, but we are not worshipping the idols. We are worshipping actually the God which is represented by the idol. So the next question is, where is this God? Does this God even exist, or is it mythology? Because you have created this God also is a concept in your head, and this concept you have made into a figure, and you say, well, I'm not worshipping the figure, I'm worshipping the concept. Well, both are creatures. The concept is a creature of your imagination, and the figure is a creature of your hand, which you have created. So what's the difference, right? Similarly, people believe in good luck and bad luck. My Indian friends will remember when Amitabh Bachchan's son got married. Now, here's this great Bachchan family, so-called very sophisticated and educated and what have you. But his daughter-in-law to be at that time, Aishwarya Rai, she was born on a Tuesday, and in the Hindu, in astrology, being born on a Tuesday is considered to be bad luck. They have all these, good times and bad times. Rahu Kalam, Ketu Kalam. This time is a good time, and so to start anything, you must start at that time. Don't start anything at a bad time. I know people who actually consult this calendar of Rahu Kalam, which is the bad time, on a daily basis, and they even follow when they will go to work based on that thing. So if the time for them to get into the car and drive to work falls into that time, then they will not go. They will either go later or they will go earlier. That period, they will not sit in the car, they will not take the car and drive because it is in that so-called bad luck time. I know people who will sit in the car, and the car is in the garage, and they have to reverse it. They just won't reverse it. They go forward a little bit, then they will reverse it, because there's this bad luck to reverse directly. And of course, we all know that the black cat crossing the road. Why did the black cat cross the road? Simply, why not? Because there is a road, right? So somebody has to cross the road. I mean, it really is. If you think about this, all of this superstition is idol worship of one kind or the other. All kinds of superstition. We have people in India, for example, there's this whole thing of Vastu, where these astrologers come and then they tell you that if you move your kitchen, they say that in the house the heat should be in one place and the cold should be in another place, and so therefore the cold represented by your toilet and the bathroom, and the heat represented by your kitchen. So they say that if you remove your kitchen and move it where the toilet was, and you take the toilet and put it in the kitchen, then you will get a lot of good luck. And I'm still waiting to see how many billionaires are created that way, by shifting your toilet. I mean, if somebody can guarantee me that I will get $20 billion by shifting my toilet, I'm happy to do that. I mean, think about it. Here is a situation where you have a bunch of within quotes highly intelligent people who insist on believing such utter tripe. And if you ask them, they say, no, but this is all ancient wisdom and blah, blah. What ancient wisdom? Just because somebody has been thinking like in this way for 10 centuries, it makes it good. I mean, how long? If something wrong is practiced over a long time, does it make it right? This is where Islam comes in. Islam says, act logically. I mean, Allah gave you this brain for something. This head is not a pot full of manure to grow hair, right? The head has the brain has a function other than being, it's not there to grow your hair. So if there is a brain and if there is a function, then use it. Right? Just ask yourself this question and say, what is this rubbish? I mean, somebody, so what they did with Aishwarya Rai, I mean, imagine, here this bunch of people. So it's bad luck. So now what you do is, the bad luck is that if a person marries this woman who was born on a Tuesday, then the husband will die, right? So what do you do? So what you do is, you first get her married to somebody who you don't mind if they die. Now, who is that? Obviously, it can't be any human being. So what they did was that they got her married to a tree, and then they got her married to a pot, an earthenware pot. So she was married, literally the whole wedding ceremony, married to a pot. So now this bad luck gets transferred to this pot, and the pot can break, no problem. Then she marries Amitabh Bachchan's son. I mean, imagine how utterly ridiculous and stupid is that, but the people doing it, they don't feel stupid. Where is this whole issue of women's dignity and so on and so forth, women's lib and so on? How come this woman is so-called so educated and whatnot? How come she didn't say, look, you want to marry me, you marry me, right? If you don't want to marry me, don't marry me. But I am not going to marry a pot or a tree in order to marry you. What kind of nonsense is this? She should have said that. I mean, if she has dignity, she should have said that, right? But no, because the belief comes in. The belief is always ancient belief, ancient wisdom. What wisdom? This is wisdom. To marry a tree is wisdom. To marry a pot is wisdom. I mean, seriously, we have to ask ourselves these questions. There's nothing to be offended about. Seriously, ask yourself this question and say that when I'm believing something, what is the evidence of that? Islam is a religion which comes with evidence. Islam is a religion which comes with proof. So Ibrahim alayhi salam is saying the same thing to his people, and he's saying, you believe this and that, and you believe that this idol is powerful, and this other idol is, this one will give me children, and that one will give me wealth and whatnot. I mean, they can't even do anything for themselves. So what are you saying? If they cannot even do anything for themselves, what can they do for you? I just ask this question, seriously ask this question and say, if the thing cannot even do anything for itself, what can it do for me? Whereas I worship and you worship, alhamdulillah, we worship the creator of the heavens and the earth. We creator the Fatir as-samawati wal ard. See these two trees behind me. There's this coniferous tree here, and there is that the maple over there. Both are trees, both have leaves. But how completely different are those leaves? They're different in structure, they're different in shape, they're different in size, they're different in color. Now, this is the qudrat of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala creates, and He creates the way He wants to create. So these are idols. So idols of superstition. Then we have also idols which are in our heart. Now, some of them I describe. I mean, these superstition idols are, these superstitions are all idols of the heart. And similarly, in the idols of the heart also are the idols, for example, of fear. Today, for example, the biggest idol that is sitting in the hearts of people, and may Allah protect us, including Muslims, is an idol called COVID. Right? Idol called COVID. Because we are afraid. I'm afraid of dying. Oh, I'm afraid I've got COVID. I'm afraid of getting COVID. What is this afraid? How can a Muslim be afraid of death? You know the Hadith of Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, where he said that a time will come when you will be numerous, you will be huge in numbers, but you will have no weight, you will have no value. And you will be like the foam on a flood. So the Sahaba asked him, he said, Ya Rasulullah, why is that? He said, because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will put wahan in your hearts. Allah will take away your fear and take away your respect and your awe from the hearts of your enemies, and Allah will put wahan in your heart. He said, Ya Rasulullah, what is wahan? He said, Hubbud dunya wa karahiyatul maut. Now think about this hadith and how it relates to what I am saying here about Ibrahim alayhi salam and the idols. Hubbud dunya and karahiyatul maut, these are partners. Love of the dunya and fear of death, these are partners. Right? How are they partners? Because only somebody who loves the world doesn't want to leave the world. So what is fear of death? Another way of looking at fear of death is the desire to remain in this world. That is fear of death. What is death? Death is the doorway through which we will go to meet Allah. You don't want to meet Allah? As a Muslim, I'm asking you, do you want to meet Allah or not? Because if you really want to meet Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala jalla jalaluhu, then tell me what other way is there other than dying. I'm not suggesting to you that you should go and die, because suicide is haram in Islam. I'm not even telling you that you should pray for death, because that also Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam said, don't do that. He said, make this dua, oh Allah, keep me alive. As long as remaining alive is good for me, and give me death when getting death is good for me. Alhamdulillah. So we don't pray and say, Allah, take me now. No. But just the desire to meet Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, this is death. What else is it? Tell me. So if you not only do not have that desire, but you want to remain in this world, that is the fear of death. So if you have fear of death, what does it say about this world? You love this world. Why else would you want to remain in this world? If you did not love this world, why would you want to remain in the world? So Hubbud dunya and karahiyatul maut are partners. They are both in the heart at the same time. Love of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and Hubbud dunya are opposites. Because the one who loves Allah wants to meet Allah. Love of death. The Sahaba had love of death. Again, we are not being morbid. We are not being suicidal. Anas bin Nadar radiallahu anhu in the Battle of Uhud, I mentioned this story before as well. In the thick of the fighting, he is tired. With the fighting, he is exhausted. He goes and takes shelter behind a rock. He gets off his horse. He pulls out a few dates and he is eating. He eats one date and then he reminds himself. He says, you want to delay meeting Allah by eating these dates? He says, I smell the fragrance of Jannah from behind this mountain. He's talking about Uhud. And he's telling himself, he said, do you want to delay the meeting with Allah by eating these dates? He throws the dates, he mounts his horse, he goes and he fights in the path of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and he is killed, he is shaheed, he is martyred. So what are you seeing here? You're seeing a Sahabi of Rasulullah who loved death in the most positive way. Today the idol in the heart is fear of death. Fear of death. Constantly living in this fear. Oh, I might die, I might die. You might not die, you will die. Please change the language. You will die. I will die. There's no doubt about this. Every single person who is living will die. We are born in order to die. So stop worrying about that. Instead of that, ask yourself, how do I want to die? I want to die in a state where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is pleased with me. I want to live in a state where Allah is pleased with me, and I want to die in a state where Allah is pleased with me. So let me prepare for that. Fear of death. Huh? Fear of this COVID. La hawla la quwwata illa billah. Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un. How shameful is that for a Muslim to have this fear of COVID in his or her heart? Please understand, I'm not saying be brave and therefore because you're not afraid of COVID, go around without a mask or go around without taking precautions. No. You must wear a mask, you must take precautions because it is your responsibility to take care of your life, it's your responsibility to take care of the lives of others and not become a source of danger for others. This is your duty. By all means, please do that. But to do that, you don't have to live in fear and terror of death. If I am wearing a seat belt, I should wear a seat belt because that is the law, because that is what is good for me, that is what is good for others. But that does not mean that I am terrified of dying in a road accident. Yes, there are accidents. Yes, people die. But will I drive my car? Of course I will drive my car. I am not afraid in that sense. My brothers and sisters, please understand this. These are the idols in the heart. They must be cleaned. Hubbud dunya wa karahiyatul maut. These are partners. So if you have fear of dying in your heart, remember you are one of those who loves this dunya. And the one who loves this dunya, what did Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam say? Huh? Think about that. Another idol is the fear of people or situations that some harm will come to me. Today one of the other big discussion all the time is on politics. So, oh my God, if so-and-so gets elected, what will happen to us? If so-and-so does not get elected, what will happen to us? Astaghfirullah la hawla la quwwata illa billahi al-azim. What will happen to you is what your Rabb Jalla Jalaluhu wrote for you. It doesn't matter who gets elected, it doesn't matter who does not get elected. Should you go and vote? Yes. You should go and vote because this is your duty. Because this is something that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has permitted you to do, to participate in the political process. So that you play your part and try to elect the best representatives that you can elect. Stand for election, go and vote. By all means do that. But in the heart, don't have this belief that good or bad will happen because of this or that candidate. No. Now for those of you who think that this is a kind of contradiction, let me give you a beautiful example from the Seerah. In the Battle of Badr, when Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam was, when he reached the battleground, what was the first thing he did? The first thing he did was, He did every material thing that was required in order to fight that battle. First thing, he chose the camping ground, and another person, one of the Sahaba, he advised him to change the camping ground. Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam agreed with him, and he changed the camping ground. He delineated, he divided his army into different battalions. He chose the commanders of each of these battalions. They distributed the weapons and whatever, mounts they had. He arranged his forces. This battalion will fight, the Ansar will fight from here, the Muhajirun will fight from here, and so on. He did all of that. And then he stood in Salah and he made dua, and his famous dua where he said, "Oh Allah, if these are killed, if they lose, then there will not be anyone to worship you on the face of the earth. Oh Allah, you promised me victory. Oh Allah, give me victory. Oh Allah, give my people victory." What are we talking about? We are talking about taking precautions, making arrangements, doing whatever we need to do, but in the heart, the connection is with what? What is Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam relying upon? His material arrangements or Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala? That is what I mean. By all means, take precautions against COVID. By all means, wear seatbelts when you are driving. By all means, do whatever you need to do in order to follow the law and in order to be safe. But don't have that in your heart. Don't lose sleep over it. Don't lose sleep over it. What tawakkul is this on Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala, that you cannot, even a virus kicks you off and throws you off track? What is this tawakkul? Don't have it in your heart. Even without getting infected by COVID, the COVID virus is already sitting in your heart, creating fear. La hawla quwwata illa billah. My brothers and sisters, please have mercy on yourself. Don't do this to yourself. Fear nobody except Allah. La nafi wa la dharra illa Allah. There is no one and nothing which can harm or which can give benefit except Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala Jalla Jalaluhu. This is our iman. This is our aqidah. So as I said, one is this fear of death. That's an idol in the heart. And along with that idol is the companion idol, which is hubbud dunya. Love for this world. Love for material things, love for possessions. And the second one is fear of harm coming from creatures. An example I gave you was that of politics. Maybe other examples. For example, one example is economic collapse. Economy will go down. Though I will starve. As if the Razaqul Quwwatil Mateen has gone away somewhere. As if Allah is not Raziq anymore. Economy is feeding you, or is Allah feeding you? Third thing is the idol which looks towards the makhluk with hope. Looks towards the makhluk with hope, expecting benefit from the makhluk. So and so will help me. If this person is there, my job will be done. If this particular thing happens, I will benefit. Right? Idol in the heart. So these are not wooden idols. These are the idols of the heart. Then another idol is who you obey. Now, in many cases, who you obey is society. It's peer pressure. So here we have a situation where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's hukum is before us, but we will not follow that hukum because we are afraid of offending somebody. For example, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, do not even be in a room in which alcohol is being served. Right? Not only are you not supposed to drink alcohol, not only are you not supposed to serve alcohol, not only are you not supposed to be on the same table where alcohol is being served, Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, do not even be in the same room. But what do? Oh, but I have this company party. All the board of directors is going to be there. And how can I say I will not come there because alcohol is being served? Try it and see what happens. Seriously, try it and see what happens. Alhamdulillah, I know people. One of my dear brothers and students, he did this. He was working for Dell in Bangalore, and when they wanted to have this affiliation party, they said we'll go to this, which usual Bangalore thing is they go to some pub. He said, well, I can't come with you. He said, why not? Because this is a pub. I don't go into a place where alcohol is being served. They changed the location. For this one guy, they changed the location. They were very happy. They said, you know what, because of thanks to you, we also didn't get drunk. Party also didn't cost us that much because we didn't have to get drunk. He didn't stop them. Think about this. He didn't say, you don't go. He said, no, you do whatever you like. I will not be able to join you. That's it. They could have said goodbye. They did not. They did not. My brothers and sisters, practice what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has told us to do, and Allah will open doors for you. Allah will open doors for you. I was invited to a Passover Seder dinner by some Jewish friends of mine, and so I accepted. And then I looked it up. I said, what is this Passover Seder? And then I looked it up. I realized that part of it's a dinner, but it's a ritualized, very formal dinner which goes according to a certain pattern, and certain kinds of foods are eaten and so on. And these are Orthodox Jewish people, so food-wise I had no problem because I know, they don't eat pork and so on and so forth. So all of that was fine. But one of the things was that they had to drink red wine 3 or 4 times in that whole dinner. So now I had already accepted, and these were some very high society people. So I called them up and I said, look, I accepted this, but I realize now that red wine is going to be served, so I cannot be in the same room. I can't participate. I can't be in the same room if this happens. And interestingly, before that, they knew I don't drink, so they said, for you, we will have pomegranate juice. So this was already told to me. So they were not going to serve me red wine. They were not expecting me to drink it, and they had provided for me pomegranate juice. But then I called them back and I said, look, I can't even be in the same room. So I said, I apologize. I'm very sorry to, for any inconvenience and so on. I said, I'm very thankful to you. I'm honored that you invited me. I'm very happy that you invited me. But inshallah, we'll meet on some other occasion, on some other for dinner. But this one I won't come because this is part of your ritual. So initially they said, okay. Then the next day they called me back. They said, you know what, we have spoken to our rabbi, and we have decided that we will not serve wine at all that whole evening, and everyone will have pomegranate juice. Imagine, here are people who are willing to change their whole custom in order to accommodate me because I said I cannot be in the same room where alcohol is being served. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala opens doors. Allah opens the hearts of people. I said, Alhamdulillah. This is the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And of course I was very grateful to them for taking the trouble to do this. My brothers and sisters, seriously follow, practice Islam, and you will find how Allah opens doors for you. You will see how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala creates the opportunities and makes it easy to obey Him Jalla Jalaluhu. So break those idols. Who you obey, who you seek to please. Yeah, these examples I gave you are trying to please. Trying to please powerful people, trying to please friends, trying to please, peer pressures or trying to please them. Think about all the, the khurafat and all the wrong practices that we have in our death ceremonies and in our weddings. This is a big issue. Islam, please understand this, Islam is a complete faith. Islam, Allah did not send His religion with bits and pieces missing for us to plug in. Right? Islam has, if a person dies, what must be done? Is there anything that is left there for guesswork? Is there any missing piece that, in this case we don't know what to do, so let me try to invent something to do here because we don't know what to do. Is it like this? Everything is given. Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam showed us what to do. So when a person dies, then you give them ghusl, you put their kafan, you do the salatul janaza, which is the dua, and then you bury the person and you go home. That's it. You can, of course, make dua for their maghfirah. You should do that. Make dua for their forgiveness. Give charity with the intention that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala should give the reward of the charity. Of course, obviously to you, but also to the person who passed away and so on. But other than that, what other custom is there? What other ritual is there in Islam which Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam did? What do? On the third day, we call everybody. And we say, this is ziyarat. You know what is ziyarat? Ziyarat is visiting, is meeting somebody. Now, I'd like to see if that person who you buried 2 days before, if he turns up that day in your ziyarat meeting and says, Assalamu alaikum, you came to meet me, here I am. Then we'll have to do some more ziyarat. Where did you invent this from? Where did this come from? Custom and practice. This came from our culture, which is the local Hindu culture, where we have all these days. So you have the 3rd day ceremony and the 10th day ceremony and the 20th day ceremony and the 40th day ceremony and the annual ceremony. So we have a chahallum on 40 days and we have, a barsi every year. Why? Who do we worship? We worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So if you're worshipping Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, why are we following somebody else? So also we do with our weddings. What is the wedding, the wedding ceremony so-called in Islam? The wedding ceremony is that after the negotiation and whatnot is over, meaning after the person has the groom has given a proposal and the bride has accepted and the bride's wali has accepted, then what do? You settle the mahar, you give the mahar, you make the nikah, which requires 2 witnesses, and the person is married. And then this same day or the next day, the groom gives the walima. He calls a few people over for to feed them over a meal, just to announce that he is married to this lady. What do? I don't want to make a long litany of stuff. You know what you do, I know what you do. Why? Remember, I'm not saying that all of this is idol worship in the sense of actual committing shirk, but I'm saying that all of these show that we link harm and we link benefit, we link our obedience to others than Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. We have a complete religion, but we are not satisfied with that. We want to create something of our own. So we invent and we plug in and we add and we subtract and we do all of this. Why? So breaking the idols of the heart consists of all of these things. So who do you fear? Who do you seek benefit or reward from? All of these things, right? These are all signs uh, of shirk of one form or the other. Then the big issue of shirk is that of what? It is that of riya, of showing off. Rasulullah mentioned this very clearly. He said, I do not fear for you that you will worship idols, which is stone idols or whatever, but I fear for you shirk, which is khafi, hidden shirk. So they asked him, Ya Rasulullah, what is hidden shirk? He said, hidden shirk is riya, is showing off. Now today, think about this. How many times, I am sick and tired of repeating these things. How many times do we see this thing? We give all kinds of excuses. Believe me, I'm not even talking about the excuses. But how many times have you seen this, that the first thing you do is whatever good you do, a little bit, you give $10 to somebody, then you take a photograph and you put this on Instagram or you put it on Facebook. Oh, I'm doing this, I'm doing that, I'm doing this dawa, I'm doing this work, I'm doing that work. Show the whole world for what? Tell me, for what? I'm not saying that if somebody, for example, if some donors have given you money to do a particular job and then you do the job, then you have some, take some photos and so on, get the evidence for this job and show them, okay, this is the money you gave for a well to be dug and here is the well. Here, this is the money you gave to a school to be built, here is the school. That's okay, because you are supposed to report back on whatever you are doing. I am talking about just this, trying to show that, oh, we are doing this great thing. For what? My brothers and sisters, learn to do things quietly for the pleasure of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, knowing that Allah knows. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does not need you or me to tell him what is going on. Allah knows. These are all shirk. These are all different forms of shirk. And of course, the biggest of them. أَرَأَيْتَ مَنِ اتَّخَذَ إِلَهَهُ هَوَى أَفَأَنْتَ تَكُونُ عَلَيْهِمْ وَكِيلًا. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, have you seen the one who has taken his desire as his ilah, as his God, as his object of worship? And are you, O Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam, are you going to intercede for that person? Are you going to speak in favor of that person? Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam is being warned to say, don't even think of asking for forgiveness for a person like this, who has taken his own desire as his God. Now, what is the meaning of taken desire as the God? I mean, is this person putting a Johnny Walker bottle on the ground and making a sujood to him? No. Right? He's not doing that. Taking desire means that when an order of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is before a person, and on the other hand, whatever it is, there is his desire to do the opposite of that. The person follows the desire instead of following the hukum of Allah. For example, the hukum of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is, do not deal in interest. And Allah said, the one who deals in interest, Allah said, if you want to do that, if you do not want to give up, then accept a declaration of war from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and His Messenger sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Now, what can be a bigger threat than that? What can be a stronger prohibition than that? When Allah is saying that, Allah is threatening to become the enemy of the person who is dealing in interest. Now, if you say, how is it an enemy? Tell me, what do you call someone you are at war with? Your friend? Do you have war with friends? So you are accepting becoming an enemy of Allah. Your name was written in the awliya of Allah. Because Allah said that people who are of belief are the people who are the awliya of Allah. Allahu waliyul ladhina amanu. Allah said, I am the wali of the one who has iman. Your name was there. For no fault of yours. You rubbed it out and you took it and you put it in the list of This is what nafs does. This is what your desire does. Your nafs and my nafs is worse than shaitan. Worse than shaitan. Because now some banker or some financial analyst will come and tell you, you know what, you got all this money sitting here doing nothing. Why don't you leverage it and keep it as seed capital, and the bank will lend you more, and you set up this business and you set up this and you buy that, you buy this. So now you follow all of these shaitans and you leave Muhammad Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. You follow these shaitans and you leave Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala Jalla Jalaluhu. This is the meaning of making your desire your ilah, making your desire your object of worship. Our brothers and sisters, the lesson we learn from Ibrahim alayhi salam is to break every single one of these idols in our heart. To smash these idols, clean the heart. Take a broom, sweep everything out, throw it away. Clean the heart. Let the heart be illuminated with the nur and the glory of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala alone. I ask Allah to open your and my hearts to His Tawheed. I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to clean our hearts of everything which is not Tawheed. I ask Allah to clean our hearts of shirk and nifaq, of hypocrisy and of polytheism and of shirk. I ask Allah to clean our hearts of fear and greed and jealousy and hate. I ask Allah to clean our hearts of all of these negativity and to fill it with His hubb, with His muhabbat, with love for Him, with love for His Messenger Muhammad Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. I ask Allah to fill our hearts with His khashyat, fearing only Allah and nobody else. وصلى الله على نبي الكريم وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين والحمد لله رب العالمين والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.